But yay! Hi everyone! Hi guys, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today is the February ChemKnits Dialogue. Each month I pick a new inspiration photo, which you can see right there for this month, and then I dye some yarn based on this photo, and then I invite all of you to dye along with me. And then whenever I do a yarn dyeing live stream, I always like to do a recap. But what makes these dye along live streams recaps a little different is that I will feature some of your photos from the yarn that you dye inspired by the same photo that I was doing. And I think the thing about this is really fun is it can really show the wide range of things that people create drawing from one inspiration. And so the inspiration you draw can be from the colors, it could be from the shapes or textures. There's many, many ways that you could interpret it. And whether you're dyeing yarn, dyeing blending fibers for spinning or knitting something, all of that is stuff that I would love to see. So the ways that you can share this with me to potentially be featured in the recap are with the oh my goodness, are with the hashtag ChemKnitsDialong on Instagram, or you can post your photos in a thread on the ChemKnits Facebook page, and I have a link to that and all these details in the video description. But yes, hi everyone. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun and I really enjoy it. I have the recap from last month's live stream in the iCard along with some other ChemKnitsy links. So you can go check out that video, and the yarns that I dyed last time, some of them are still available in my shop. Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys are able to join me today. But there's one thing I do that is a little different about this month. Our inspiration, and hopefully this will work well, my inspiration this month was actually more of a video versus an image. Keith and I went to an event at the New England Aquarium where we were married. We went to an event for Valentine's Day, and when we were there was this one fish tank, and the way the lights they were and the water was moving, the light was just streaming down. And I thought it was so soft and beautiful, and I just really wanted to try to create some yarn from it. I'll put it back to the static image in a moment, but yeah, it's just, I thought that it was fun, and we've got navy, multiple shades of blue, there's a little hints of yellow and mint and some coral, like orangey pink colors, and I thought it would be fun to just play around with this, but the GIF was probably, I'm not sure how much my computer can handle. But yeah, so that's the inspiration for today. I'm looking for, I don't know, a softness. But the thing is, I'm a little nervous because I'm a little nervous about achieving these colors. This isn't like, ooh, I know exactly what colors I want to use to do this. I know approximately the colors I want to do, and I want to layer them on top of each other. But I'm planning to do 2 different yarn batches. One to sort of see if the technique I want to do, how it's working and the colors interplay together. Even though the colors should strike faster on that one than the ones I do later. But then, then we might like modify the technique a little bit. But again, like for me to feature you, you don't have to exactly match the photo in any kind of capacity. The goal is that maybe you're going to play with colors that you wouldn't have played with otherwise, or it might make you think outside of your normal box and comfort zone. At least that's what I'm trying to do with myself. Thank you guys all for joining, and I'm so glad that you guys are able to catch me live. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you don't miss another live stream. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The yarns that I'm going to be using today are Knit Picks Bare yarns. I use them a lot in a lot of my videos, and I am a Knit Picks affiliate, which means that when I share a link, I do earn commission if you make a purchase after using my link. And so when I share like the sale, that their cool sale that they're having now, you're under no obligation to use my link, but it's just sort of like full disclosure. But I've only been an affiliate for a little over a year, and I've been using Knit Picks Bare Yarns for almost a decade now. So there is that aspect to it as well. Oh, good. I'm glad that the video is working. But yes, and so before I get started, sort of Knit Picks is having a fun sale. You can get a free pin with a $50 purchase or a free mug with, I think, a $75 purchase. All the details are on their website, but I really like their enamel pins, and so I will probably be making an order later tonight because that's sort of how I roll. But yeah, okay, so now as for the dyeing, let's think about what I want to do today. So I saw, and again, I guess I'll pull up the GIF form again, but it just sort of made me think about layering colors on top of each other. And we might end up creating some hues that weren't seen there. Certainly I wasn't able to capture some of the brightness of it. And oh, actually, the reason why I had to do a movie for it was, it's a little funny, but the light levels were really low, and so on my phone I couldn't just capture a photo. Things were really streaky, and so that's why I went for the movie to capture it. But then I realized I can't add movies to albums on Facebook, and so that's sort of a bummer. You think it's 50? It's 50 was the minimum for the pen. I am pretty sure that, and I can double check because I had this pulled up. The minimum purchase for the mug is when you spend $75 or more for the mug. Okay. I guess the other thing that I need to say is that, so I'm going to be using commercial acid dyes today. I'll be using a mixture of pre-mixed dyes, some stock solutions of known concentration, some of unknown concentration, but all of the equipment that I'm going to use today, the pans, the utensils, all of that is dedicated dye equipment and not things that I use for food. And anytime that I'm going in and using the powders, I will be wearing like a respirator face mask, which has filters so I don't inhale any particles, and I'll be wearing safety glasses and gloves when I'm dealing with powders. So I think it's just sort of important to remember your personal safety equipment, so that way everybody is safe. Now, all right, I'm going to shrink down. Nope, that was not what I shrunk down. Okay, let's shrink down our little inspiration photo, make myself go away, and nope, I want you and I don't want you. Oh yeah, today we are set up, maybe I'll move this up here. Today we are set up with both webcams, so hopefully I don't trip myself. All right, and as always, if you have any other questions, I will be checking the chat. But if I don't see it right away when I pop back up sitting down at the laptop, feel free to join me there. Okay, so the colors that I want, and I want soft colors. I think I want like a mint, I want a coral, and I want navy. Okay, so right now I have a 1% stock solution of Dharma Navy. I just mixed this up. I have a 1% stock solution of Frozen. I have one of the yellows that I've used before at unknown concentration. I have some pink. I have some of that forest green. And then I have some really, really dilute brown and navy from when I was mixing up stock solutions. And so I'm curious. Okay, that's actually not an unreasonable amount of color. I'm wondering if the navy's going to look. It's purplish. It's purplish. It still reads blue. I wasn't quite sure what color that would be, but all right, let's we're going to need to mix some other colors. So let's see. I am going to go muffled. Maybe I should. I'm now wearing my respirator. I believe I have a link to this in the video description. If I don't, then let me know and I can always add one. But of course now I'm popping off my glove. Oh dear. I'm trying to do this one-handed. There we go. Hello. And safety glasses. So I got a second webcam around Christmas time. I mean, I bought it for myself because I was sort of like sick of like not being able to show everything. Okay, the other colors I've got, I'm gonna need some little I'm gonna start cleaning up some warm water. So I'm gonna make some mini little stuff. Oh, and I guess I should say, I could theoretically, and I might later, depending on how this goes, try to do some speckling with dry powder. But given that we have these soft colors that are more pastel, I'm not entirely sure how the powders would really work, if that makes sense. So let's make some. Okay, let's make some stocky little friends. I'm gonna get some warm tap water going. Alright, so the colors that I still need to mix are, actually I guess there's 3 that I want to mix right now. Dharma Peacock Blue. And hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Peacock Blue, Tangelo, and Sage Leaf. It's not hot yet. And of these, I have never played with Sage Leaf before. And I know, because people have told me, that Sage Leaf does break. So, oh, thank goodness it did not explode on me. My navy exploded on me once, and that was tragic. Well, and it didn't really explode. I just took the label off. And it's still everywhere. Okay. So for these ones, I'm not measuring it out. I'm just going to sort of go for it a little bit. Let's start with the Tangelo, which is a really nice. I hear Lucas calling for Keith. Okay, I'm just going a tiny bit. This is like definitely not even a gram. The Tangelo actually looks a little orange here to me right now, but I can say for a fact that it definitely can read very pink when it's diluted. So let's see. Yeah, it's sort of like a pinkish orange. Okay, that's our Tangelo. Then I needed the Sage Leaf. So sort of, ooh, that looks cool. It looks really cool. It's got like white little specks in it. I'm just curious what it's gonna look like.
I have no idea. I know it breaks. I have no idea how easy or difficult it is. Okay, I wouldn't quite call this a mint. A little bit too much water, but that's okay. Or I mean, the beginning. Let's see. Actually, that is pretty minty. That's actually pretty good. Huh. How about that? I have no idea how it might break on, but yeah, the coral and mint. That's not bad. I was expecting to try to mix my own mint using, I don't think, maybe I won't be using that brown, but using the brown and, yeah, that's wild. Okay. I'm glad I sort of went for it. But again, like, I haven't used that one on yarn, so I'm not sure exactly how it reads. And this is Peacock Blue. And again, I'm not measuring, but I have a feeling I will want to do, like, I'm not going to use all of this that I'm mixing on one skein of yarn. So these are like mini stalks. But the Peacock Blue is more of like a true blue, even though it does crash out of solution. So it's kind of a pain to work with. So I don't recommend using it with a stock solution. I sort of wish this water was a bit hotter, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because I don't mind if we get some speckles. Okay, now that definitely, well, the true navy that I have mixed should be fine. But yeah, so basically, we are going to play with these colors and sort of see what we can get. And I'm going to wipe this down. Okay, go get Daddy. Daddy's up on the 3rd floor, honey. Although if Keith's watching the live stream, then he would know. All right, now I'm going to wash. I'm going to reuse the gloves a lot tonight. As long as my hands don't sweat, I can reuse the gloves over and over. But now that all of the powders are closed, oh, you can hear my unmuffled voice. Okay. Let's see. What was the mint? So that I did sage leaf. Was scanning. So I go on the side of, I mean, ultimately people can make, when it comes to like protective gear, people can make the choice that works best for them. One mask, and this is a kind of mask that you can get often at like a home improvement store. This is something that I wear sometimes as well. It's just since I'm doing more dyeing videos and like playing around with powders a lot, I thought it was worth the upgrade to my respirator. But thankfully, like when I've like cleaned off the outside edge at the end of dyeing, like I've never noticed any like color on it. So I think that you definitely want to wear some kind of barrier when you're using the powders. And I mean, I know not everyone does glasses, but since I have them, it makes sense to use them. Yeah, I was really nervous, and I think less about the breathing in the powder, but more about spilling and making a mess. but then I also realized I'm like, I've done all these other things with powders, and like sometimes I'll wear a mask now with Kool-Aid and stuff. I just don't want to inhale anything. But oh, let me switch over to the dye bath. All right. In here right now, I have 4 cups of water, and I am going to add. Let's see. Let's do 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. And I might want to add more water, but this steam pan, this is a catering steam pan on top of 2 gas burners that I probably should clean. It is a dedicated dye pan that I don't use for food. None of the stuff that I'm showing today I use for food. And what else was I going to say about it? Oh, I got it on Amazon. I think it was under $25. Maybe it was closer to $20. But I have been very, very happy with it, and there is a link to it in the video description. And there's also an affiliate link to my favorite nylon reusable zip ties, which are great for sort of flipping the yarn over in the middle. But yeah, actually 4 cups isn't bad. So this is Knit Picks Swish DK, and I just decided to use this as my sort of like starting base to get a sense of the colors. I'm going to mix the colors and I'm going to mix the colors up a bit more. But yeah, I thought that this would be just like a nice starting point. And I now have my burners on medium-ish, so that way we can heat up, but if the water level's so low, it'll heat up pretty fast. I'm going to come and check the chat. Wait, dye. Okay, so one of the reasons why I think you want a mask that has a certain filter size, although dentist masks might, that were mentioned, I'm not sure. It's just, I buy my masks from Dharma Trading Company, and I figure since they sell all these dyes and stuff that they are the ones to use. Yeah, but I find, like, with all the, like, speckle... Oh, I should switch to the other. That's what I meant to do. With all the, like, speckling and stuff I do on the counter, very rarely do I find anything on my floor. So I think that that's good. But, yes, with, you know, people can certainly have allergies or reactions to things. So taking care is good. All right, let's get, I like to reuse these tulip tie-dye bottles over and over and over. And, whoa, hopefully I did not undo that camera. Let me just double check. Nope, we're good. And it's already hot. Ah! Too fast for me. Where are my lids? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we're in a situation today where I'm going to mix the colors fairly pastel. I think that the most concentrated one I have is a 1% stock solution. The other ones are less than that. Oh, I've got frozen in the bottle over there. Okay. The navy, this one is like dilute, so I'm going to just add this as is, and I can always add more color to it if necessary. And my counter is protected with an IKEA shower curtain. Okay, now the Tangelo. Now obviously, if I'm doing this later, I would not be able to replicate this exactly, and I am spilling. But the nice thing is that you can always add more color, but it's hard to take color away. But if you add too much color into the pan, you can kind of try to spread it out more so it's not as intense. This is our sage. Which likely will break, and then we might want to do something else for sort of like a mintish green. It might end up looking fairly purple. I'm going to reduce the heat on the pan. We're now down to low. Oh, the last two blues. Okay, so this is the peacock blue, which is a very nice blue. Diluting it. You can always add more. You can't add less. But yeah, I really like using these shower curtains instead of plastic wrap. Okay, so now I'm going to take my frozen 1% stock solution. This was one that I made for my self-striping video. Oh, I forgot how much I like these Dharma bottles. The stream, I'm not sure if you guys can see how like narrow and wonderful that stream is. But the holes on these tulip tie-dye bottles that I'm reusing are larger. So, all right, and without having these little ones labeled, I don't know how I'm going to tell the difference between frozen and peacock blue. But we will do our best. Let's go. Okay, let's go over to the pan. Yeah, I might be using Silma. I reuse. I'm not sure if you're supposed to. I'm going to remove the photo over there. I'm not sure if you're supposed to, but I do reuse the masks. All right, let's start. And I've got a spoon over here. Let's try a little bit of the Tangelo, and ooh, cool. So we're striking pretty fast. It could be a little more pastel, but I'm actually kind of happy with that pop of color. Okay, so we've got our Tangelo. Let's look at our sage. Oh, that's great. That's kind of perfect. The Tangelo is a tiny bit bright. This one could be a little darker, but I like it. I like it so far. The name, I'm afraid, is going to look purple, but let's see. And it's definitely reading purple. But let's see what the other two blues do. I'm actually not hating the purplish. So this is the peacock blue. And this is the frozen. Okay, the frozen is really bright. The frozen might be a little too bright. I wouldn't mind tiny bits of it that I sort of, so I'm going to be layering these colors, and so I'm going to sort of like spread it out. There we go. So you can always add more water to this, but that's giving us a hint of the frozen, and then I'm going to stick with these other colors. So let's do, yeah, so if I do, when the Tangelo first goes on, it's fairly orange, but spreading it out sort of gives us that pop of coral. And things are striking fast. This is super washi yarn. I am planning on going to some non-superwash. Yeah, I'm gonna like bring 2 skeins into here in a little while, but adding like a lot of mint. It's pretty dilute. But then we're gonna start, that one might be too purpley, but sort of liking, oh goodness, I might end up going, well, let's just see. Let's see how we go. Yeah, just going and layering on. Again, things are striking pretty fast. You can see if I like touch that things aren't spreading very far, maybe a tiny bit, but in general, things are staying really close to where I add them. And that's part the low immersion, part just the color. Let's do, I think this one is the peacock blue. Now the peacock blue and the frozen are looking very similar to me, but I want a lot of the blue. I feel like I'm going to need to go heavier on the mint. I'm going to add a little bit more of that sage green color to our bottle because I want to bring that in a little more. And of course, like spilling it on the counter. Oh, goodness. So I'm curious if when I was told that this breaks, because I'm not entirely seeing it here, but I'm wondering if it is in, if we see it break with dip dyeing or with speckling. Bring some more of that. Let's do some more pops. But with this, I do want to go in faster. Ooh, I really like this. This is like really, it's fun, it's random. This is one of my favorite kind of ways to dye. I like sort of like these random segments of color. Okay, here's the navy. I don't mind if there is some white on here. And normally I might wait, oh, I guess I want to save the rest so I have some. The other side. Normally I might wait longer before adding other colors and sort of layering them in. But the reason why I'm not waiting very long and I'm just sort of going for it is that the reason for that sorry guys, I'm like having trouble putting a thought together. The reason why I'm just going for it is because these colors are striking really fast. But next, after this, the yarns that I'm going to put in the pan together, one of them will strike pretty quickly, and then the other one it won't. And so it'll be really interesting to sort of see a side by side. But I'm going to let this go for about a minute before I flop it over. But I'm sort of intrigued by the fact that like the darkest blue, which was the navy, is not the one. I'm intrigued that that's not the one that I'm using as the darkest on here. But you know, there's many, many, many different ways that you can play with your levels of color saturation. And certainly, and depending on timing, we'll see if I do this at the end, but if I were to go and speckle with all these colors, the like hues would be completely different. But let me give this, it already had like a minute. Also, I turned it for 3 minutes before I flip it. And let me pull up. That's actually not bad. Okay, I think that the colors, the green that I see is not coming through. The green is really, really subtle, and it's not, I'm not seeing it show up on camera very well. It looks sort of gray to me. What you really hope to learn is color pooling, and not a stripy color pooling, but like blobs of color. Oh yeah. That is something that, let me pull up my face. Color pooling, I think, is something that is so, so, so cool. I love like planned pooling and how you can get some really awesome patterns with it. I think that if you have any yarn that has a repeating colorway, you can then make it pool. You just have to do some math to figure out the like repeats that you need to use. Right here it is about 9 p.m. I could absolutely try pouring the dye. So what I'm doing today is a form of space dyeing. I'm just layering it in this like zigzaggy pattern, because that's like when the lights were when I was looking at the light move, those streaks, that sort of like the way it made me feel. I realized with these dye-alongs, I'm not just going based on the color. It's sort of the technique that I use, and that feeling is sort of something I get from the picture as well. I think that for socks that are durable, there's a few things you can do. You definitely want something that has some nylon in it, but you can also add, for like the toes and the heel, you can add like another strand of nylon thread to add some additional strength to it. But I don't knit a lot of socks, so that's just my thought. Friends, if you had a question that I missed, please feel free to drop it in the chat again. And yeah, because you guys are very active tonight, which is awesome. And why? I want to toggle the timestamps. There we go. Yeah. You've heard measure your width, double it, and add 1 inch for your skeins. Yeah. Yes, I could tone down. I'm actually, the brighter blue is kind of working for me with the picture. But yes, I could tone it down by layering more colors on top of it. I'm a little afraid, and I'll hide. Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm a little afraid that what I end up with might be a little more. I mean, I'm really actually happy with where this is going. I wish that maybe it was a little brighter. We'll see how I want to like adjust the colors for round 2. But now, this is why I like these nylon zip ties. And it is hot, but not too hot for me to like play with. But you can see we did get, I am going to move the tie around a little bit so I can access that point. We did get some color penetration to the other side, but not a ton. Sometimes I decide to go through and do like 3 rounds of color. But again, I think a little bit of white is not something that bothers me with this one. Yeah, but surprisingly, I am liking the brightness of this blue. And this green is pretty perfect. I've heard that like some people have batch issues with it, so that's just something to keep in mind. And then the Tangelo is the one that I'm sort of moving a bit, just like a hair, but I am kind of enjoying this pop of an orangey pink. I wish the colors, it's hard for me on the fly to affect the color balance that we have in here. So I wish that I could do a bit more with that, but to bring you guys something, oh, I want to do a tiny bit of Frozen. Frozen is sort of has some teal in it. It does strike nice and fast, but if I get there fast enough, I can sort of dilute it a little bit on the fiber. But just some pops and like the sort of like if you squint, maybe you can see our colors. But here is the navy. I do try to play extra attention around the ties. But yeah, I really like, it doesn't look like, it looks kind of like strange when it's all sort of on the yarn like this. But then when you pick it up, you can see that like you've got these random, like this is a non-repeating colorway. You've just got these multiple tones sort of all together. Now for our blue. And so I could not pat it and let some of these colors be sharper, but I don't mind like having a mix of like sharp and more spread out tones. So this is why I am futzing with this and moving things around. And I do want to make sure that I get color on our like edge sections. And I want to, now it's funny because like in doing this, the some of the other colors show through, but it's the sage that still needs like a little sort of more push to sort of read as present under these other colors. So that is pretty fun, but I'm actually really, really enjoying this a lot. And I'm not even gonna let it stay that long because, I mean, you can see we have absorbed these colors. And now I can, in sort of small sections, add color where I feel like could be needed. But I actually feel really, really happy with how this has gone. So I don't think, and what I'm sort of checking for now is white. I don't see a lot of white because I feel like the colors have spread out a tiny bit, which is one of the things that I did want. I don't want to like go too heavy on our little coral moment. I want it to be sort of like a pop, but nice. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have any like huge patch, because a little bit of white would be kind of nice, but I just don't want a lot of it of white, if that makes any sense. Let's add some more blues. The place, yeah, around the ties is always a place to like keep an eye out for. But this is actually toning down those corals, which is good. Add a touch more. Yeah, I like it. Okay, I think just adding a touch more the green. I still have more of it so that I can add to the bottle, but I'm now going to leave this I mean, the colors, and you can see I'm sticking my fingers in it. It's still hot. I'm gonna put the heat up a bit and let this go for 5 minutes. And I'll come and take any questions. But again, as I said, this was sort of my test run to get a sense of what I wanted, what I might want to do differently. I think that, I should set my timer. I think with the next iteration, I'm going to want to keep the navy really pastel again. I'm going to want to maybe dilute that Tangelo a tiny bit more. And I'm going to want to make the sage leaf a little more intense. But yeah, when I go back, we'll do 2 fibers at the same time. I'm curious how. Okay, the colors are not popping through. Let me see if, which one is this? Settings. Nope, not that settings. This is when I need to clone myself to try to get the colors right. Maybe if I up the saturation. No. Brightness. Yeah, that's not really doing it. I can promise that in person, the pink is subtle and the green is a little subtle now too, but it's there. I see it. This base is Knit Picks Swish DK. And, oh right, dropping in the little link for the pins. I don't think I did that earlier. Because Knit Picks right now, with a $50 purchase, you can get a free pin, or a $75 purchase, you can get a free mug. So if, oh no, oh right, I have to select this to move my face. And then let's pull up. All right, so if you're just tuning in, our inspiration moment is this underwater aquarium scene with the light streaming through, a lot of blues with just these pops of like some coral and mint. And I actually think that I got a lot closer than it looks because I don't think it's translating well, unfortunately. But I'm really, really excited with how it is. No, there are no dumb questions. So a 1% stock solution is done, it's sort of like a description of by weight. So for a 1% stock solution, you would have 1 gram of dye and 99 milliliters of water. So then it's 1% by weight. For a 5% stock solution, you would have 5 grams of dye and 95 milliliters of water. But really you want the total volume to be 100 milliliters. So, you know, it's basically, it is fairly approximate, and as long as you follow the same recipe for yourself, you can achieve the same colors. But yeah, I am really, really excited with how this is coming out. Again, here is the, the little photo of the moment. There will be a recap, and in the recaps I can always get a better sense of the colors for you guys. And how I'm like ready to go look at it. It is a bit more muted than the color, but than the picture. But there are definitely these undertones of like I don't know, I feel, the light and other stuff when I'm looking at it. So it's fun. And then so maybe on the next one, I do want to bring in more actual navy and try to bring in that darkness. We'll try it. I could go straight for the stock solution. That might be, well, we'll see what happens. It could be too saturated next time. We'll see.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So, all right, if you're just tuning in, this is the February episode of the ChemKnits Dialogue. And I'm inviting you guys to go and dialogue at home, do your own inspiration or own version of the inspiration photo, and share it with me with the hashtag ChemKnits Dialogue on Instagram, or reply to the pinned photo on the ChemKnits Facebook page for a chance to be featured in the recap. And I think that that's possibly my favorite part of this whole thing is, my favorite part is getting to see all your pictures and sort of including them in the video. The question was, what is my favorite container for dye stock? I go back and forth on that. So I have these big squirt bottles from Dharma that I actually like a lot because I can use them directly for application. So I like those, but then I also have a bunch of these glass canning jars. And so these can take boiling water. And so that's the perk there. So that's that. But actually, I'm going to go ahead and leave this in here because there's no harm to leaving it in there. So we can mix up some more color. So the real thing, let's move it around a bit. Actually, I need to swap cameras. Nope. There we go. Okay. So here, I think this one was my Frozen, that bright blue. This was our peacock blue, and I'm going to mix up some more. Adding just a tiny, are you jellying on me? Peacock blue is kind of a pain, but the color is really, really pretty. Fill that up with water. Okay, I could pour some of this Tangelo out, but instead I'm just going to add some water to it to dilute it a bit more. And I need more water. The cups that I have here are some stocks that I made on the fly, and I did not measure them. So I do not know what the concentration is. And I do want to make this more intense this time. This is the color Sage. Oops. I am spilling everywhere. Sage Leaf, pardon. Not sage, but Sage Leaf. And gave us sort of like a nice pop of mint. What I don't know is if this is going to be a little too concentrated. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry. Okay, now the navy. The last time I did it just based off of the bottle ends. I do have some 1% stock solution. I'm going to pour some of that in here and dilute it. This, I believe, will be more concentrated than what I had used the first time around. It's looking quite purpley. But I mean, I didn't bring the deep purple down. The navy is looking, I guess it's navy. I guess in like some ways navy is kind of purpley. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if I end up wanting to go on with just the straight
navy. I feel like, yeah, navy is one of those colors where it doesn't have its own like feeling. Okay. Nope, you are fairly hot. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm picking up the first yarn, adding it to a container to cool, and I can't see, you guys can see it. There is sort of like a muddiness to this. Like I think that it is fairly subtle overall. Okay, so then now let's bring in the two yarns. That swish decay that I just did, that was sort of the practice round. I wanted to get a feel for these colors, a sense of what I want more of or less of. And now I'm going to bring over two friends. Actually, I will bring them over here because I think this is where you guys are, to add my reusable zip ties. These zip ties are nylon. Oh, there we go. The zip ties are nylon, so they will absorb color. And they definitely sort of like bend from the heat and stuff, but I have been very, very happy with them, and they are very inexpensive. All right, and I'm gonna swap, shoot, gotta take the glove off. Swap cameras. There we go. All right, this is the same dye bath as before. The two yarns I have right now are Stroll Glimmer, which is, I believe, 70% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 5% stellina. And then the other one that I have is Gloss Fingering Weight Yarn, which is 70% merino wool, 30% silk. And the reason why I picked these two yarns is that they both have a glimmer and a shimmer to them. I am going to increase the water volume because they basically soaked up all of that. Okay, so that's this. I just added about 3 more cups of water. I am going to add some more vinegar. Do 1, 2. So the Stroll Glimmer, and now it is definitely not hot, so I'm just moving stuff around. The pan is more crowded, so I might need to flip a few more times. And the thing that I'm doing today that is a little unorthodox is that I've got 2 different yarn types in here. The Stroll Glimmer, which is the one right here, will absorb color a lot faster than the gloss. I expect to see colors a little more spread out over here than there, but we'll see how this turns out. Yeah, but I am very, very excited. Squeezing water out from our other friend. So I don't want it to be too hot. I don't want to like damage the silk at all, but I do need it to heat up a little bit. But I will admit to being a tiny bit nervous before doing something like this on gloss. I don't think I've done gloss a lot, but I don't think I've done something random. And it is a little more expensive than like some of the other yarn bases I use. So that's something that like has me, I don't know, let's do a trial run one first. But gloss actually is 20% off. It's a 20% off yarn of the month right now. So if you want to pick up one skein to play around with, you can. Welcome to the live chat. Why does one yarn look bluish? I'm not sure if it's because of the stellina. I found that the Stroll Glimmer tends to feel a little more white versus off-white. So if you look at Stroll Glimmer next to just Stroll, it does look more, as you said, blue than, so like the top one than the bottom one. You don't understand the meaning of space dyeing. Okay, so space dyeing essentially refers to adding dye to yarn that's in water and letting it kind of do what it's going to do. So you're adding different colors to different spaces on the yarn. Whereas kettle dyeing usually would be you mix one color, you add the yarn, and you get either, maybe you're going to get like a solid or you'll have like a tonal. But with space dyeing, usually you're going to end up with a multicolored form of yarn. But then within the space dyeing realm, you could have low immersion dyeing, where you have a really small level of water. And so then when you add the dye, it can't spread out very far. But I think that like different people might use the terms a little differently, which might be me saying, I might use the terms a little differently than others. I don't know. But so for me, I would consider like space dyeing to be like any method of adding color to yarn where like you're adding it to different spaces at a time. So that is my sort of explanation-y thing. Oh goodness. I know some of the rest of you had Etsy shops. I hope that none of you guys were affected by the big payment glitch. I wasn't affected by that happened recently. But I was affected by a different glitch where my shop disappeared for about half an hour today. And that was really, really stressful and scary because Etsy was working, but it like I couldn't access my shop manager, so I couldn't see like my existing orders. And I couldn't I couldn't go. I was trying to like share a link to like some yarn to someone. I'm like, my shop has disappeared, and it was very panicking. I am very excited about the new Muse yarn. I'm really, really excited. So the question about the Muse yarn, Knit Picks released a brand new yarn base that they have in some, and I should stand up and dye in a second, but they have some hand-painted, I believe, hand-painted colors, and I'm double checking. Yes, so they have like a variegated hand-painted and then a hand-painted tonal. They also have the bare yarn. And so it's a Aran weight, heavy worsted, 100% superwash merino, single ply high twist. And I think it would be awesome for glazing, is my gut. So I'm planning on, I want, the pin that I want is I have the bag, it's like the rainbow, the knit rainbow one. I plan to get that and some Muse, and I forget what else I needed. Really, I don't need, I have a lot of bare yarn right now. But I sort of can't help myself, and I'm about to actually like revamp my studio so I have better storage, which will give me, oh, am I on the right? Yes, okay. Will give me, I'll have to limit, it'll force me to limit myself more. All right, let's go with our pop, the coral. Well, that's striking pretty fast on everything. Let's finish that sort of fleck. So things are more crowded, and so we're likely to not get color penetration very, very far down it. So that's just something to keep in mind, and that maybe, I mean, sometimes I've done 3 at a time, and then I think my comfort zone is having 2 in a pan at a time. Let's see this. Oh, I'm happier with that. Okay, this is our sage leaf. And again, I don't mind. It does look like the colors are spreading out a tiny bit more on the gloss versus the glimmer. Okay, here's our navy. I'm a little nervous about the navy. I just went for it. So we're gonna way too purple. It's a little purple. I wish. Oh, guys, you know what it is? It looks purple, I think, until it really starts to hit the acid. And it does not feel as purple anymore. I'm curious how these colors are showing up for you guys. You can kind of see. You can sort of see. Okay, so that was a big, I went a little big there. But we can definitely go smaller. Now, smaller, it feels too purple. Let's spread out a bit. I mean, I don't know if it's looking purple to you guys, but maybe as it's like going onto the yarn, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I just sort of left it there, if it would feel purple or if it would turn blue, like if it's something that like it looks sort of purplish. Like I don't feel, it's definitely, there's like a warmth to it, but it's not feeling, definitely not feeling purple anymore. Oh, nice. And so again, unlike some low immersion techniques where you might not want colors to spread out, I kind of don't mind if they spread out a bit. Again, that poor green is just getting overtaken. Let's add some pops of this brightness, which is ultimately really, really close to the other blue, but it has a tad bit more yellow in it. It's really fun. I definitely, this is very, very qualitative of me. I do feel, I'm watching this. I'm not spreading that out right now. I'm trying to see if it's going to turn more blue or stay purpley. Qualitatively, things do look sharper on the Stroll Glimmer side. What you gonna do? Okay, you're still looking purple. Fine. Spreading you out. But yeah, and then we can keep sort of playing. The thing with layering colors this way is that they are blending a bit, but you get some like tiny patches of warmth in the way they blend, whereas if the water level was significantly deeper, you would see more, like they would just sort of mix together more. Like, once again, this poor green just gets overtaken. So I'm just going, and actually having it on top of that Tangelo does make it feel a little more coral. So that is nice. Uh-oh. Frozen, I'm moving you aside. Peacock, come on over. And I do want more of the navy too. But the navy I do need to be careful with because it spreads out a little more because, well, I think of all these, it is possibly the most pigmented of the colors, which, if you think about it, makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna need to mix more with the sage, but I'm really, really liking this. So with the navy more concentrated, this definitely feels less subtle than the last one did. Even though there's still a softness to the way some of these colors are working together, the first one, that navy was so subtle. It still feels related, but actually, this is something that's kind of fun to think about. If these were the same yarn base, it could be good for like part of a fade, to just like have one be like more muted and then like bring that navy in and then go to like something that has even more of the navy. That could be a fun way to sort of like create some kind of fade. But I'm now curious. Yeah, this time, okay, in here a lot of colors have struck. But let's give this 5 minutes before we flip it over. And when we flip it this time, because it is a little more crowded, I am expecting to potentially see some color in there as I flip. Like if I move that a bit, you can see some of that navy. And that's okay. I don't mind sort of that deep blue sort of like encompasses more of this. But I do sort of have, like these colors do feel very like sea-ish to me. So I'm excited. I really like playing with this technique. And I think that even on this one side, if I wanted the colors to be even more intense, I could wait, let the colors absorb, and then go in for another round. And so you could even end up with something that it has most of the navy covering it, but underneath it you would get these like undulating undertones. And so that could be a really, really fun way to play with a navy colorway in the future. Oh, I'm sorry that it's dropping. Oh yeah, when I beep. Yes, the blue. It does have some like purple to it, but it does seem to turn more of a true navy versus a deep purple when it's added to the acid. Yes. The two types of yarn in the pot right now are Stroll Glimmer, which has that silver selena in it, and then Gloss, which is shimmery because it's 30% silk. Yay! That's perfect. Trip and Fall says, feels like I'm looking at a fish tank from a top view. I mean, come on, that's pretty good, right? That's pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. And so I feel like I should just thinking about thumbnail. I know I'm gonna make the GIF go away, but yes. What you ever do? So I personally do not use a slow cooker very often. Well, I mean, I use it all the time for stews, but not for yarn. I do have one video where I used, I do have one video where I used a slow cooker, and I'm not sure off the top of my head. It is in the Dye Pop Weekly series. So I think if you look for, I don't know if I call it crock pot or slow cooker, but like I definitely have used one in a video. I think that basically anything that you could use to heat the yarn will work. So yeah, there's that. But you guys are all awesome. I'm so glad there's so many of you. And
Oh, I haven't even done a little itty bitty commercial break. So I think that while we're waiting, I'm going to send you guys, and that's a little flash to tell myself when to do it, to a brief commercial break. If you don't see a commercial, don't worry. But yes, AdSense is one of the ways to be able to keep doing all of this. But I actually don't even know. Okay, inserting the ad. Not everyone will see it, but I will grab a drink from the side. And I'm not even using any merch to show off or anything like that today. I wasn't that organized. It's February vacation week, so the kids are around, and that throws my whole schedule off. But now that some of you might be coming back from the commercial break, or maybe you never left, there are a few other ways besides just hanging out, watching the videos and commenting and liking the videos that you can support the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. That's one of actually the biggest things that you can do to support everything. But in addition to that, if you want to contribute to ChemKnits, there's a few ways you can do that. You can buy some yarn through the ChemKnits Creations Etsy store. All of the yarn has been featured in a past or upcoming video that's been on the channel, and I'm going to make the timer go away and not do the spiel around the timer. All the yarn in there has been featured in a video. There might be a couple that were not in a video or a live stream, but I always say, make it clear like that it was filmed if it was dyed off camera, and then I say what video that it was dyed in. I think that there might only be like one or two out of about 140 skeins of yarn. Yes, I know not everywhere has vacation this week, but for my kids, it's vacation week. So yeah, February vacation, and for places that do it, tend to be staggered a lot. But I know a lot of people have vacation this week. Good night, Marie. What was I going to say? Oh, guys, I am totally off my game. I'm sorry. The other thing that we have is the ChemKnits Patreon. Patreon is a platform that connects content creators like me with fans and people that enjoy the content. And it's a way to subscribe and sort of contribute on a monthly basis to the content in exchange for some cool perks. And I've talked about the perks that like you get like early access to new videos, and there can be behind the scenes sneak peeks and stuff. But we're so close to hitting the first goal. We probably only need a couple more patrons, and then that will, as a huge thank you, I will do this some kind of, that's a working title, but super special summer sampler series. Think like the Hanukkah special, but in the middle of the summer, and I'll do like a week with a video every night. You know, probably 4 or 5 videos, I think is what I'm aiming for. And then there'll be samplers that people can buy, not just patrons, anyone in the shop, and you can sort of like each night unwrap a yarn, a mini skein of yarn, watch the video, and sort of get to like feel the finished product and swatch it yourself and play around with it. And so, yeah, I'm hoping. I don't know. I really enjoyed filming and putting together the Hanukkah sampler, and so I thought that, and I know not everyone could do that, and so I'm hoping to create something similar. And I have some ideas that, well, the one idea I had would kind of be impossible because I think that it would take me way too long to do it. But I've got some really fun ideas, and we're really close to hitting that first milestone. Simmer solstice, summer special, yes. Oh, Needleworks Canada, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, love you, girl. Thanks for keeping it real and being yourself. I'm a proud patron, top tier supporter. Please consider supporting for $1 a month. Thank you so much. Yeah, at the top tier, you get a shout out in a video each month. You get a permanent 25% off coupon to the Etsy store, um, access to everything, and fun. Shavuot. Yeah, I'm not planning on like linking the summer one to a particular holiday, but I do intend to do a Hanukkah special again in the winter because, well, I mean, I am Jewish, so it makes sense for me to do that versus an Advent calendar. But also, I feel like there's just like there's so much Christmassy themed stuff, so that it's kind of fun to do something a little different. I don't currently have any minis in the shop right now, but if there is a lot of interest, that is something that I could do. I definitely have some minis around from various things that I've done, but well, okay, so I call anything that's small a mini skein. There are some people who like would say, okay, a mini skein is 20 and a micro skein is 10, or maybe a mini skein is 10 and a micro is 5. So there might be a terminology there that I'm not quite up with, but at the end of when I had the Hanukkah samplers, I did have some extras around, and so those extra skeins I did add to the shop as like sort of one-offs. Oh, I'm freezing. Oh no. Let me see. Yep, that's me. I'm gonna go in the chat. Oh crap. Okay, I am. Checking minis around from various things that I've done, but well, okay, so I call anything. Okay, so so the audio is fine. Is the audio fine? Okay, you hear your voice, but the video is frozen. Thank you. Let me see if. Well, I'm gonna go test the other video, and I guess you guys can hear me. Let me see, because I can't see. I can't see the laptop to see if I can see my hand, but the video still seems frozen. Okay, that seems to be working. Oh wait, no, but I was working on the other thing. So, I mean, it's saying my stream is bad. Maybe. If it doesn't switch over, then okay. Yes, I could see. Oh, I guess you can hear me to know if you see my hand at some point. Seems like the video is completely frozen. Checking minis around from various things that I've done, but okay. Well, I'm gonna go test the other video. Wow, that's a big lag. Mouse is bad. Mouse is bad. Oh, that seems better. Excuse me. Oh, that seems better. Okay, that's way better. Cool.
Sorry for any sound looping because I had that on. Yay! Thank you all for being. Although I don't know why I'm typing now that you can hear and see and hear me again. Okay, I'm gonna go over there. Woohoo! Thank you all for your patience. The audio is good, but a bit laggy. Thank you all for your patience. Wait, is the audio laggy from the video? So there is definitely like, and now the lag is fairly short. There's absolutely a lag between what I do in 100% real time and then what gets transmitted over the internet. Oh, actually, I want to take a picture of this. Take a picture. A little bit more. Okay, I'm going to add this to my Instagram story. That's the best way for me to give you guys like a real time best way for me to give you guys a real time sort of like what the colors look like. Okay. Yay. If you're still not seeing anything or hearing anything, try refreshing. But also, I went silent for a little bit because, ooh, let's flip our yarn. Look at all that white space, and we are nice and hot. We're going to want to try to cover as much of this as possible. It is a good sign that I do see some color, but there is a lot of white. I have a feeling I might end up doing like a third layer. But trying right now to expose as much of the white sort of as I can. And if you're just tuning in, we do have two very different yarn bases here. We have Stroll Glimmer and Gloss Fingering. Stroll Glimmer has some stellina in it, and it's superwash merino and nylon. And then the Gloss is merino and silk. And Gloss is the Knit Pick sale yarn of the month, but that's not really why I picked it today. I picked it because it is shimmery, like the water scene that was my inspiration photo. So I'm not actually going to worry too much about it being too bright. Add some little hints. It's a nice non-repeating colorway that we have going on today. Oh, I'm definitely going to need some more mint. I'll have to mix some of that. I'm just sort of randomly going on. So one of the exercises here is that you can technically do two different yarns, two different yarn bases at the same time. If this were kettle dyeing and there was a lot of water, we would see more water go into the Stroke Glimmer than we do. We would see more go in there than we do see go into the gloss. And I have some videos where I've like dip dyed with two different yarn types at the same time, sort of showcase that. But here today, that is less of the issue because, like spatially, there's just not a ton of space for the water to move around. So I'm doing 5 colors, a tad bit of frozen, and a lot of peacock blue, a lot of navy, sage leaf, and Tangelo is sort of that corally orange that we're using. Now let's go big. This is the peacock blue.
And our inspiration is an aquarium from the New England Aquarium, to be exact. Should probably share this and like tag them on Instagram. Yeah, but so we're getting, and you know, the light streaming into the aquarium, so I don't mind if there's some pale patches. I think one of the next times that I do this, I'm gonna want to go with more of the bold, sort of like deep colors. With the navy, I'm sort of squirting harder to get some of that like deeper intensity and to deposit more of that color on there. And then I'm patting it because it does end up looking like purple until it really goes in with the acid. And then I feel like I'm adding more Tangelo onto this side than the other. I need to go mix more of the sage. Maybe I might need to go, yeah, I'll probably need to go back into the powder for that. Depends on how much more I need to do. But everything I'm using today is dedicated dye equipment, and whenever I use powders, I do wear personal safety equipment. And funnily, I've been dealing with like an algae bloom in my home aquarium with Froggy, but I am liking that. Ooh, I really like that color. I want to give a few more. This time I'm sort of going in, and rather than going randomly, I'm going for the white patches and just adding some hints of this color. So that's kind of fun. And so that's what's another thing that's really fun with these kinds of techniques. You can absolutely start doing one thing and it can change, it can evolve based on whatever it is that you want to see with your yarn. But I'm really excited, everyone. Do have more of this. I can make more of the blue if I need to. Adding a bit more on. I do want to go a little bit deeper and buy those ties. All right, I'm gonna let this go for 5 minutes. And then we'll move it around and check. But it seems like with the amount of acid I have, we're getting something really awesome on the gloss. I'm very curious to see how similar these will look in the end. It's possible that, because sometimes silks can feel a little more muted, they can take a bit more dye. So I think the colors feel a bit sharper on the stroll, which is something that I see when I do stroll versus wool of the Andes, because the colors spread a bit more. But I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. Today I'm using acid dyes. I'm using all Dharma acid dyes. And there's the inspiration photo. That is pretty awesome. I wonder if there's a way. There's the inspiration photo. I was like, I wonder if there's a way. I'll have to try to just screenshot it later. I'll make myself smaller. Nope, I need to get the laptop. Like figuring out this program. But yeah. And I can actually pop this up real quick. So that is my inspiration movie. When I was at the aquarium, I couldn't quite capture the light levels were too low for me to capture these like streaks of light. And so everything it sort of was like an average and blurry. But so I did a movie. And now let me check the chat. Oh, you guys are all so nice and great. Yes, please give thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. Thank you all, those of you who have to go to bed. I understand. Thank you for joining or go and to other things. Oh, I'm so sorry you had a nightmare. Well, you know, we had some streaming issues a little bit ago, but hopefully things are going smoother now. So yeah, for dye, I'm using Dharma acid dyes that I just mixed up. I've mixed into sort of like crude stocks to play with that. Yeah, I am really, really happy. I'm really glad I did the practice round first to sort of show where I wanted to push different tones. That really helped. Needleworks Canada, thank you so much for reminding me about that. Okay, so when we froze, I was talking about my Patreon goal. And so, unlike Kickstarter or something where like you have like a defined goal and a real defined amount, Patreon's a little different because it's ongoing. It's an ongoing crowdfunding platform, but it is a real way to really support everything that goes on here. Because when I'm making these videos and doing these live streams, like there's materials costs and like equipment costs for like getting new cameras and all kinds of stuff. So your support really does help me like make all these videos and do all this content. But I have a goal on Patreon, and so if we hit this goal and we're really, really close, then I will. Then I'm going to do as a big thank you for everyone, like a summer special series of some sort. Likely we'll have a lot of S's in the title. Maybe I'm going to go for like 5 S's. I don't know. I'll have to like make sure that it doesn't mean anything like bad. So I'm going to like, but some kind of summer sampler series, super special summer sampler series of some kind. And it'll be very much like the Hanukkah special. So I plan to do 4 or 5 videos for, over the span of a week. And I'll pre-sell samplers. So that way, very much like Hanukkah, you can, when each video comes out each night, you can watch it and unwrap a mini skein of the yarn and sort of see the colors in person. And then you can play with it and use it, in some kind of sampler project that you might do, or really just swatch it. And so with the Hanukkah special, I tried really to do like a bunch of different techniques. So there would be a lot of different types of yarns for people to sort of see like themselves how it came out. But with the summer special series, I plan to do some polls with the patrons. So that way the patrons can really help shape some of the things there. So like, and this is something, these polls will be open to all the patrons, all the tiers. Things like, should I do all sock yarn or all something else? And Firefly, is it Southwest Firefly or Swift Firefly? Swift Firefly? Thank you so much for the super chat. And if any of you are curious about that bright green box that just popped up in the chat, there's a little $sign at the bottom of the chat window, and it's a super chat. It makes your comments stay up longer, but it's also kind of like a tip jar. Yeah, the New England Aquarium has been oh no. Oh, crap. Is it better? Okay, I think it might be back. I think it might be back. I'm seeing. I think it might be back. Okay. Yeah, so it's in part, it could be my computer more than my, oops, I should turn that sound off. It could be my computer more than my internet, but it's definitely like my internet connection is causing things to, yeah.
we need to have a chat with Verizon because I've been having trouble like internet wise. Like anyway, did the timer go off? Yes, I think it did. Um, you guys are all the best for sticking with me through these difficulties. I will always try to get to the chat in some kind of way to let you know that like I'm working on it. Okay. Let's move. See, this is why we want to move things around. See those white patches? Now, white patches don't have to be bad at all. Like, there's really not. It's all about like a personal preference. But this is why it's worth sort of like checking and moving around your colors and seeing how fast things might strike to get a sense of, do I need more color? Do I want more color? And the answer to all of that is yes. So instead of going all over this time, I am focusing mostly on these patches. Although I did just sort of go all over there. I do need more to go make more blue. And again, like some of these stocks were not measured at all. That blue turned to jelly. Peacock blue, totally jellified. That little bunion. Yeah, so these colors are sort of randomly mixed up, but you can sort of alter the amount of color that you're putting on by having more or less in a given spot. I feel like this is more saturated than it might have been before, but I'm not hugely opposed to that. But yeah, we're basically looking for patches that have less color that I wish had more. And then going over with that green everywhere, hints of green everywhere. And I mean, colors are striking so fast that I'm not even letting this like go that long. But I feel like I could keep doing this like forever-ish, you know, like, and of course here it's not that hot right now. We're below a boil, and I can definitely, I mean, it's probably not a good idea to use your hands, but the heat's on so low that I can do it, and it's not causing any kind of problem. I do want to make sure, oh, I'm going to run out of green. I do want to make sure that I don't go too heavy on that coral color, because I do want that color to not be super huge. Actually pretty good. Like, some paleness is totally fine, and I think appropriate with what the colorway and the inspiration photo is. So I don't want to like lose some of that brightness, and lose some of that light. But what I don't want are massive white sections. That's actually not so bad. So So I'm basically spot checking at this point. So a lot of this kinds of stuff is so much easier to do with, it's so much easier to get the colors and everything with one or two stains than it would be if we had like significantly more than that. I do want to check sort of inside the zip tie. Again, and here I am almost like hand painting. Some white is not a problem, but sometimes I've dyed yarn and then at the end gone, oh no, there was like a massive white section that I missed. But this is looking really, really great. I am really, really excited. And now I think especially, it's like the coral's really, really soft, which is fine. Yeah, I think that it's sort of like before you see these like streaks and stripes and it's easy to think, oh, I don't know. Sort of look at the totality of it now and that feeling that you get from it. And it's just fun. It's just fun. That's what it is. Hopefully, I'm going to go check the computer. Hopefully I didn't like freeze during all that. That would be really, really sad. But, oh good, and I left that inspiration photo up there. Yes, some acid dyes can turn to sort of like a gel. The two now that I've experienced that with are Jacquard Sun Yellow and then Dharma Peacock Blue. So I need to get a different primary blue from Dharma at some point. But yeah, I think I nailed it. At least like looking at it on my screen, I'm like, hey, I was sure I was going to get close. But I think that the thing to keep in mind, and so the thing that I did is I added the colors on, and then if it seemed a little too bright, I layered more on top. Or if it seemed like it, or you can help it spread out a bit, but you get these like subtle patches of color. And I'm not quite up for like going back into the powders and showing, but if I was using the powders of these colors, I think the navy we could get some really sharp, dark colors, but the Tangelo would probably be really, really, really bright, like really bright. So I don't think we'd get like this kind of soft feel going straight with powder onto the yarn. But you could get something that has like larger patches of each of the colors too. So there's just so many things that you can do. I'm like, so color theory and mixing colors and blending colors is not what I would consider one of my strengths at all. And I know you guys might be like, oh, you nailed this one. But it's truly, I consider one of my weaknesses as a yarn dyer the like picking of colorways. Like I have a comfort zone that I very, very much stick in. And I use the same colors over and over. But one of the things that I am trying to do is I'm trying to go outside of my comfort zone. My comfort zone really is food coloring. I have a really good feel for a lot of those colors and how they interact with one another and the kinds of effects that I can get with them. But then the world of acid dyes is so much broader, probably because there's more than 5 commonly used, I mean, not that primary isn't the right word, but like single color molecules. So then there's more possibilities. Can you get the same color effect out of food coloring? You could get something really, really close to this with food coloring. The colors with food coloring that are really, really hard to get would be a solid purple, but you can get something close with hand painting sometimes. A solid purple, gray, a true gray, or a true black. Those are the colors that are the hardest to achieve with food coloring. I have no doubt in my mind that I could get something very, very similar to this with food coloring. Like for the mint, I would probably mix orange and blue in the Color Right system.
and then add maybe a little bit of the like, what do they call it for? Like the base crimson, a hint of the base crimson in with a lot of blue to get that more navy tone. It would break a bit. It would break a bit, and you might see a little more bit of red, but I would do that. And then the brighter blue would probably be pretty much just base blue. And then, maybe maybe pink and orange mixed together for that coral color. And so that's just off the top of my head what I would do to try to get these tones. And I'd make sure, well, probably for the mint, I would mix 1 drop of blue, 1 drop of orange, which is a recipe that's on the Color Right sheet. And then I dilute that further so that way it wouldn't be too intense. You've been wanting to do one of the dye-alongs, but you keep forgetting and dyeing all your blank yarn. Hey, you can go back and dye along for previous months, and I have no problem with that. As for the people ask about the deadline for being featured is when I edit the video. Each month on the 15th is when I share the new inspiration photo, and so I try to have the recap done within the first or second week of the month is my goal. But yeah, so Marcy, you can definitely get something like this out of food coloring. I think that there's not a lot you can't do with food coloring. The main ones are I have had some colorways that are just gray and black, and I wouldn't be able to do that with food coloring. So would peach work? Creamy peach is a little bit bright, but it could actually work pretty well. Yeah, I would dilute it, but yeah, I think that creamy peach would work nicely. And then for the blues, I think sky blue, royal blue might not be quite dark enough for the navy, but royal blue would work pretty well. Yeah, tiny bit of the creamy peach for a coral. But yeah, you can definitely sort of get something like this. Thank you. I'm really enjoying this. From the, I guess the first picture, I picked a sort of this gradient tree, and I saw that as ooh, I need to do a gradient yarn. It has to be a blank. And then the next one was a galaxy, and I was like, ooh, I have to do some resist. And so I saw this, and it made me think of just layering colors. And goodness, last month I did hand painting. I also did some speckling last month just for fun. So I'm going a little literal with my inspirations in that, I'm trying to draw from the picture the way the color, not just some tones from it, but that's sort of my choice in the way I'm approaching the inspiration photo. But you guys can approach this in any way that you want. And I'm saying that as there's no wrong answer here. You could look at this picture and decide, instead of going for these colors, I want to, you can apply a mental filter to it and do this effect. You can do literal and be inspired by the colors, or you can be inspired by the feeling of it. If you're doing something that is way off, I want to hear what it has inspired you. If it's a gradient, if it's the the soft layers of colors that you see here, there's no wrong answer. There's not something that I'm looking for. And I really do try to share as many of your pictures as I can. At some point, it might be harder and harder for me to include everybody, but I will do my best to sort of include as many of you as I possibly can. So the colors that I used today were Dharma Peacock Blue, Dark Navy, Tangelo, sage leaf, and some hints of frozen. Aww. Yeah, so I think the cheapest ways to go about dyeing yarn yourself is probably with some food coloring. And that's mainly because then you don't need any other equipment. I think that I like the Wilton Colorite system a lot. I find it easy to mix, easy to reproduce. I don't think I have a link. There might be a link to. I do have affiliate links to it on Amazon. I don't know if I have one in here today, but frequently at like a local Michael's or Joann's, you can get it. They usually have them in store, and you can get it with a 50% off coupon or even a 60% off coupon. And so then that makes it a lot cheaper. And I find I've used the Colorite system a ton, and I've only bought 2 total, and I haven't used up all the colors. And so I really like that because with that one, it comes with 8 colors, and with those 8 colors, you can mix everything. But with doing food coloring, you don't need to have like dedicated equipment and stuff. Did I set a timer? No, I still have the heat on. I'm probably going to go turn the heat off in a minute. The colors seem to be very, very well in there. What else was I? Yeah, and so food coloring tends to be one of the least expensive ways to try. And honestly, the other thing that I did, if you go back and look at my old yarn dyeing videos, I was dyeing mini skeins. I still have a lot of those. Some of them I've used, some of them I still have. I was doing 3 grams, 5 grams. I was playing with very, very small quantities of yarn and playing around with different techniques and different things that I could do with them. And so that is like, and that was really because I wanted to make some videos, but I wanted to make like a $6 skein of yarn stretch as far as I could for as many videos as I could. I think some of this was before, like, I even was allowed to have ads on the video, like that. I've been doing this a while now. But I started with mini skeins, and then it wasn't until about 2 years ago when I started buying the yarn more in bulk and really going for it. With full skeins a lot more frequently. Michael's currently has a 40% off coupon. What do we do to get our picture shared? Yes. There's 2 things you can do, and I'm going to make one of them a little bigger right now. So you can use the hashtag ChemKnits Dialogue on Instagram, and then on Facebook. Am I going to be able to find that link? This might make me go slow. On the ChemKnits Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ChemKnits, the pinned post is a picture of, or the video that you see right there. And in that thread, you can comment with the picture that you dyed, and tell me a little bit about what inspired you, just for fun. But that's like an easy way to share it with me. Now, if you want to share pictures with me but don't want to be featured, which is totally okay, you can share the pictures either in direct, like, private message on Instagram or Facebook, or you can join the ChemKnits Lab Facebook group. And there, I have, like, in the under announcements, a thread for people to share their pictures in that thread. And those are kept private. Like, I will never share anything that is shared in the ChemKnits Lab Facebook group. I won't. I will consider everything private. At some point, it's possible that, like, I could ask someone, like, I would explicitly ask for permission. But if you're using, I guess that's to say, if you're going to use the hashtag ChemKnits Dialogue, you're giving me permission to share it. And like, if you comment on the public page, then, but I absolutely give credit for that. So that's my long-winded answer. But I am, like, really, really thrilled, and I have no idea if Keith is watching right now. Nope. I'm, like, trying to get the move. No, I want to move this one. Oh, move that there, and I'm going to pop up okay, but you can't see the, there we go. Hide my face. No, I have too many, like, maybe 2 cameras is too much for my computer to handle. But so that's the moment that I was going off of, and it was really, really fun. Yes. Yeah, in food coloring in Europe, not all food colorings work because you guys over there have a lot more natural like food coloring items, which I think is probably healthier for consumption. But even with the artificial food colorings, different molecules are approved in the U.S. versus like even Canada, not to mention like across the pond, and so like results with food coloring can vary if you live in different areas. But guys, thank you so much for joining tonight. And oh, I should go. I'll hide the little jiffy. I'll go show the first one that we dyed, where I used a much more muted navy. I will share all of these yarns. Here's the very first one that we did. And I'm going to turn off the heat now so I do not forget. Yeah, I think all of this will be shared in the recap. And then they'll also eventually be added to the shop. But it's just so fun. Like this is another, like these ChemKnits dialogues, this is something that I'm doing because you guys requested it. And so I really do take, and the same thing with the ChemKnits Lab Facebook group. I think it came from a live stream chat. People were saying like, we should have a fan group so we can like share pictures and stuff with each other. And it was just great. And I was like, all right. And so then we made the lab. And yeah, it's just like so many great ideas come from these streams or things that you guys suggest. And this is one of my favorite things of the whole month because I'm challenging myself, but I really like seeing what all you guys do. And sometimes like you guys do the like something very, you know, I guess it also sort of shows that 2 people can look at the same picture, not be talking to each other, and come up with something very, very similar. Or they can come up with something completely different. And that's all just really, really, really fun. But again, you know, if you want to participate in the dialogue, but you know, you can dye yarn. It's called a dialogue. But I will also accept submissions of things inspired by the picture that are other fiber arts things, like blending fiber, knitting, like if you want to do something color work inspired. It just should be something, some way that you were playing with the color, if that makes sense. So, ooh, I would love to learn how to do watercolor. Like I can go to a paint night, you know, one of those like wine and paint night things. I can go to one of those and do like passively. If someone's telling me exactly what to do for each step, I can do something that I'm like, hey, I'm pretty proud of that. But otherwise I can't draw, or my handwriting is atrocious. But I just like to go for it and play with color. And so that's why I'm here doing what I do. So yeah, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And there's a little bell icon. If you toggle that, you'll get notifications whenever I release a new video or do a live stream. Supposedly, I don't think YouTube actually notifies everyone who turns on notifications, but it's your best bet. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I frequently will share pictures of things that are going on more currently. Sometimes it takes, like when I actually film a video, it can then be a couple months before it comes out because of just like the way that my filming and editing stuff goes on. Oh, I'm not trying to downplay my talent. It's more of like my strengths and weaknesses. I think, you know, it's not trying to downplay, but I really do consider a weakness my ability to like pick colors, which is maybe one way that doing these inspiration photos is really helping me, and it's challenging me to like go outside of that comfort zone. But yeah, and I guess back to my sign off. So subscribe, toggle notifications, give the video a like, leave a comment. And if you want to support us on another level, you can check out the ChemKnits Patreon, and maybe you'll be the one to trigger the unlocking of that special summer sampler series spectacular working title. But then there's also the Etsy shop, and we've got some merch on Zazzle and all that jazz. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. I love this so much. And I've got a lot of leftover dye, so I'm probably going to have to film some videos at nap time tomorrow or something. Oh, you want the link? Patreon link? And there's also all these links are in the video description. A bunch of the links are in the iCard as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for dealing with all these technical difficulties and everything. And I'm not sure. Oh, I'll probably have some unboxings later this week. But yeah, so I'll probably catch you guys soon. Good night, everyone.